All right, and here we are back again with week 4 of Hearthcenter, and we got a new guest joining us tonight to help us out with some BGs. But let's go in order as we always do with our introductions. First up, we have our resident wild guru, bringing us all things wild and maybe even some strong nerf opinions and teasers on that. It is the one and only Marty B. How you doing, Marty?
I'm doing all right. I'm not gonna really comment too much on nerfs tonight. I'll let the patch notes speak to themselves. But I will say I'm going to have to do quite a few things under the hood to some of my sheets to see how things change pre and post nerf, as well with mini set coming soon. Because I believe we have I would say we have a bit of a date on that now, which is either like very after May 27th, whatever that is, or first week of June, because that's when the new bundle that dropped in the store is expiring. So,
Ah, well, there you go. Always a good clue. A nice little tip off there. Awesome. Next up, we have joining us for the second time, and the first time that I get to be on the show with our new guest here. It is Tuna's favorite nephew and Hearthstone's resident THL's resident friendly giant. It is our main man Corridon. How you doing, Corridon?
Oh, I'm doing great. Thanks for the warm welcome. Yeah. Actually, I think I lost my title of Tuna's favorite nephew to C-Mac when during the classic tournament because he was the second favorite and he put the wager on the line and I lost. So
Oh.
I might have been downgraded, but we'll have to let Tuna decide that. He has the ultimate call at the end of the day, right?
Tuna is in chat saying that's my favorite nephew, so
Well, then I
feels
guess it
bad if you're
is.
C-Mac. Looks like
Sorry,
it just
C-Mac.
your win got invalidated. That's rough.
I was betting with house money.
Nice. Oh, Tuna says he didn't know. Okay, your kid is his favorite grandnephew. C-Mac
Yes,
new
that is
favorite.
true.
All right.
in the
Uh,
chat, you'll love to see it.
and then last up, as always, we have the man with the best GIF in all of THL's shows, Dr. Lotus Knight. How you doing tonight, Lotus?
I'm happy to be here. I'm excited for tonight's show.
Absolutely. As are we all, especially because we are going to be starting off right after we do our Players of the Week. I know there's a certain person out there who's very excited. I've got some news on Octathlon, and that's coming up just real soon, right after these Players of the Week. But let's start Players of the Week, and we are going to lead off with Hero. Let's see here. Corridon, did you do the hero write up? You did the legacy write up, actually.
Yes.
Um, let's go with Marty then. Marty, can you tell me who was our hero player of the week this last week?
Yeah, this is actually a friend of mine from Wild, Seth, also known as For Christ. After having a rough start to his Hero Series season, he showed up in a full force this week, sweeping his opponent 3-0. That sweep, while granting 4 points, losing team, keeping them at bay and unable to bridge the very close 14 to 12 gap. Congrats on your first win, and may plenty more come your way. And that's from Itachi.
Nice. Congratulations to Seth. Always exciting when you get your first win, and I'm sure he's hoping it is the first of many. Next up, let's move on over to Legacy. And Corden, I know you did this write up, so talk to me about our Legacy Player of the Week last week.
Yeah, so our legacy player of the week last week was Taco Cat. So it's back to the wall coming into a dead tie 10-10. Dad Legend versus Flame Pimps. Both sporting a 2-1 record fighting for first place. These two juggernauts clashed, and the one seeds would decide the fate of this match. In a highly contested and hyped up match, Taco Cat pulled out a 3-1 victory, claiming not only the top spot in Red Conference, but also Legacy Series overall. Bask in your glory and take your bye week in stride, Flame Pimps.
Nice. Yeah, big win there. Congratulations to Taco Cat. It's always huge when you get the overall points lead Even though technically they don't have the points per week lead, which we will see coming up when we get to that legacy section. But now let's move back on over to Marty for Wild. Marty, tell me, who was our Wild player of the week?
So this guy's actually my opponent this week. We have Siege. Heading into the final match of their Week 4 series, the Mad Scientists were down 4 points and needed a sweep to salvage a tie. Our Wild Player of the Week obliged, laying siege to Mancrick's Revenge and taking a 3-0 victory over Lefty, giving the Scientists some much-needed points in the process. And that comes from Dr. Bombed.
Dr. Bomb with only one pun this week. I think he's slipping a little bit. Solid one nonetheless. A good one for Siege. And then next up, we've got kind of a dual, I guess, write up here for Pro Player of the Week. Lotus Knight, take it away. Tell me, who was our Pro Player of the Week this last week?
There's no easy match in Pro, and nothing is a better example than the titanic clash between Che Magician and Nails in the fourth last week. This nail biter of a series ended 3-2 in Che Magician's favor and helped boost F2L Crimson to a 14-14 tie with the Clowns. A stellar week for Che Magician and F2L Crimson.
All right,
Now's the
and
time I
then
butchered this.
yeah, and now we also have the Che Magician write up brought to you by Dr. Lotus Knight himself, read in Spanish. Go ahead.
I just want to know that I barely speak any Spanish, but
You're the best of the
I
bunch
am
here.
fair. No hay un partido fácil en Pro, y nada es un ejemplo mayor que la batalla titánica entre Che Magician y Nails en el 4 de la semana pasada. La serie reñida terminó en un Che Magician y ayudó a F2L Crimson a un empate de 14-14 con los Clowns. Una semana estupenda para Che Magician y F2L Crimson.
Awesome. And that translation brought to you by the ever so salty complaining about not getting credit before I even have the opportunity to mention the credit to him, two-star Mako himself, our resident Spanish teacher. Thank you for that Spanish translation. So impatient here. All right, and then finally we have Battlegrounds. I'll give you a break on reading it out though, Lotus, even though you wrote this one up. Corridon, tell me, who was our Battlegrounds player of the week?
So we've got Coles, other known than Better Donde, brought it home this week. On Friday, Zarelia and Rice Bowl did their jobs and got a first places in their lobby, giving some chance to Phantom Force to qualify over F2L Silver. But Coles did not appreciate that and came in hot for his team with the first and second in his lobbies. Coles ensured his team's place in the finals. Watch out, everyone. He's going to be gunning for you. And that was none only than our bilinguist Lotus Knight here.
Nice. I mean, I don't really know what you said, Lotus, so I'm gonna take it as you did that really well. But I don't know. I think you did an admirable job reading that. But now the moment that Lolnenko has been waiting for. Guess what, guys? We have an update for you from Octathlon. That's right. Let's get it up on the
Ooh.
screen. Oh, oh, wait a minute. There isn't anything. Yeah, we have no updates. We have no updates from Octathlon. Maybe eventually this is gonna come through, but for now, we're all just waiting. All right, on to the next one. Maniac Mondays. So we had some new exciting stuff in THL outside of the season events that are going on, and we kicked off some weekly tournaments with Maniac Mondays. We had our winner was MMW. Second place was Otters, and third place looks like a tie between Mr. Python and Rice Bowl. MMW, we've been speculating, I think, last week on what the MMW stood for. Clearly, guys, it stood for Maniac Monday's winner. So mystery is
Mhm.
solved. We know what
Yeah.
MMW stands for. We can put it all to rest. All the speculation. But congratulations to MMW. Well played to Otters and Mr. Python and Rice Bowl. And excited to see what our future winners will be. Again, remember, this is every other Monday. We will have these tournaments and we'll have results updated for you here on Hearthcenter on Tuesdays.
Um,
But, oh, go ahead, Lotus.
can, I just want to know one thing. MMW won with an odd paladin that did not feature Quartermaster.
Nonsense.
Yeah.
But hey,
Um,
maybe he didn't have Quartermaster. Maybe he felt Quartermaster wasn't even good
oh, he
enough.
just didn't have the dust.
Oh, nice. There you go. But with
Yeah.
that, we will move on to THL's series, and we are going to start off like we always do with the Hero series. And we have a little bit of an update on conference leaders here. Um, we've taken your feedback into consideration, and we now show the top two logos of the top points per week, not just top point earners. Not that you would be able to tell from this week in Hero, since no pros here and Vote of Some Confidence lead in both total points and points per week. As
There's
we
also no
have,
buy for.
what's that?
There's also no buy for Hero.
And yeah, no buy at all. So of course, yeah, it makes it pretty much like impossible to have total points be different from points per week. But you will see this reflected in our other series when we get there. We've got Blast and Dad Legend, Ask HS, all having pretty solid seasons, and we're gonna start with our recap of the week that was in Hero. Our first highlighted match we're going to start with is Vote of Some Confidence versus Dad Legend. A pretty close one here. And talk to me about this one, Lotus. What went down in this match here, this 15-12?
Yeah, Vodafone Confidence did some cleanup from last season, removed their worst player, and now they're doing well again. Um, Heat Shock lost to Icicles, but Hat, M&W, and Bullion won, with Corrodin, who's also here, holding the fort for Dead Legend not to lose too badly. 15-12 is really a tight match, and Vodafone Confidence showing a lot of promise.
Absolutely. Yeah, I wanted to spare our guest for tonight to not just have you immediately recap the game that your team lost, but since you were a part of this match, Corden, do you have any words or comments to add on this match before we move to the next one?
I mean, I think it was as close as it looks. We were pretty much right down to it. I think we were leading for a little bit. I think Icicles and I might have been in the first matches. I can't remember. But then Vote of Some Confidence came back with a lot of force. And they basically stole it back. So yeah, no, hats off to them and congratulations. It was a tight one. And I mean, that's shows where but the standings. So
Yeah, and both teams very much in contention for the playoff race that it is never too early to talk about. If the playoffs started today, actually, I don't even know if it's top four. No, it can't be top four. There's only one conference. It's more than top four. I should look at that. I don't know who makes the
Top four.
playoffs yet.
Heroes one conference. Is it top 6?
Uh, coming soon.
Anyway.
TM. We'll find out and tell you on the next one. Well, it's too early to talk about playoffs. What are we talking about? Look at the rules. That requires reading. Quaz, come on, I can't read. Let's move on to the next match here, as we're going to talk about Murloc and Load versus Inferno THL. And we thought the last match was close. Take a look at this one, a 12-11. Complete nail biter here. Corden, take me through this match here. How did this one go down?
Yeah, I mean, not only was it a nail biter, it was just so swingy as well with Snake and Vino Spumani getting 3-0 win sweeps, and then down at the bottom, Wayfair taking a 3-0 sweep over Clarity. I mean, it kind of came down to those 3 and 4 seeds. You've got Sherreep taking a 3-1 victory over Seabit, and Bone Masher taking a 3-2 victory over Nomad Farmer. So it's as close as you can kind of cut it. I mean, to have 3 sweeps in a series and have a 12-11 final game score is pretty nuts, because it means somebody along the line really pulled it together. And for the 3 the team that got the 2-3-0s to actually lose the overall match is pretty impressive on the side of Murloc and Lowe to swing back and find the points when they needed to. And deny points is the biggest thing on the other side as well.
Yeah, absolutely. This was just like such a war of attrition here, it seems, where so many points were just being denied on either side. Hero is, of course, one of those series that seems to lean heavier on sweeps because of the nature of the format, but still a bit surprising to see 3 sweeps in these 5 games. But props to Murloc and Load for pulling out a close one and getting those crucial extra 3 points with the match victory.
And not only that, now they're actually tied in the standings too. 56 points for both of these teams. So if it wasn't tighter before, now it's even crazier because they won't play again, I don't believe. So every point there mattered really at the end of the day.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mhm.
Does not get closer, except for, maybe a tie, which interestingly enough, we actually have quite a few ties this week that we're going to cover.
Yeah.
Let's move on to the final match here of Hero Series that we're going to cover as our highlighted match. And Lotus Knight, take me through this one. Ask HS versus team that was hanging out in, I think, dead last or maybe second to last. Ask HS versus Wherever I May Roam, and Wherever I May Roam coming up big with a big win over one of the top teams in Hero. What's going on here?
Yeah, so Donde lost, and wherever I
Nice.
may roam,
Yes.
figured that they might as well carry him. So Ron got a win again in Hero, Big Ted got a win, Amphol got a win, and Roadrunner got a win. And that was enough for Wherever I May Roam, clap SKHS, who was before this one of the top 4 teams. Just a really strong showing from where the team has struggled so far. You can argue that they're having a rough schedule, but they've struggled so far, and now just an 18-11 is a really good result. Is this what the team needs to get confident and step back in? Probably not, but maybe they can piece something together.
We think so. We think that Donde losing is the recipe for success. As long as he loses every week, Wherever I May Roam has a decent shot because we just all have to pick up the pace and carry Donde. And you will notice, of course, just it speaks to how good SKHS is that almost every single one of these victories for Rome came down to 5 games. Just close throughout and easily could have tipped the other way with just a few small changes here and there. Ask HS definitely a team to still keep an eye on, and Wherever I May Roam, just getting that first win on the board, feeling a little bit better, and hoping that it's a long enough season that they can recover from the early deficit. So we will see. But I know you guys are all really waiting for the rigged part of the show, right? Who wants to see that hero PPR? Uh,
Rigged.
Quaz
Oh,
asks,
I can
"Have I
say that
missed
this time.
NPH?" We did not do a recap of NPH's match this week, Quaz. Uh, there's just covering all of the series. We don't have quite enough time to highlight every single match, but we will probably cover NPH in a future week. We also cover them in some other series this show. But let's move on to Hero PPR. Get it up on the screen. Get your rigged emotes ready, because here we go. We've got number one. How could it be anyone else? Mr. Python just completely crushing um, all of THL, it seems, because he is actually our leader in crossover player rankings at the moment, too. But kicking us off strong with Hero PPR at number one, 4-0, 12-4 game score, and 18 PAR. You may be arguing, well, hold on. Vino Spumoni is 4-0 and 12-3 game score, but crucially, one less PAR. And you may ask, well, how do I get better PAR? That's a funny question. Just ask Donde. As we move on to number 3, Carvalho with a 3-1, 15 PAR. Yours truly, Ron Mexico at 3-0, 12 PAR in the 4th spot. That's how you know it's extra rigged. Number 5, we got Yellow Dart at 3-1 with 12 PAR. Lotus Knight, our very own doctor here on the show, at 3-1, 11 PAR. We've got Saku, the nicest man, so you think, in THL, but he's not making any friends in his matches this season. Saku's out for blood with that 3-1, 11 PAR in the number 7 spot. We've got Starlax at 2-2 with 11 PAR, and then a tie for the 10th place spot. Desharmo and your Mumked both with exactly the same 3-1 record, 11-7 game score, and 10 PAR. Finally, we conclude our hero PPR this week with our honorable mentions. We have Disco at 3-1, Astral Frog at 3-1, Charp at 3-1, and shout out to Charp if you're out there watching tonight. He had a birthday just yesterday, so happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Followed up by Hockey Boys 3-1 and Buse at 2-1. And there you have it. Those are your Week 4 introductory player power rankings of Hero Series for the start of this season. Congratulations to all these players. And I used to say if you want to be on this list, just keep winning. But really, I think we need to modify that to if you want to be on this list, just bribe Donde to get you better PAR. If you're unhappy with it, blame Donde.
I was gonna say this is just a bidding war, right?
Yeah, if
Exactly.
Mr.
you
Python is
sub,
the one that
we'll
paid
put
Donde
you
the
in.
most.
That's all it is. Exactly.
Yeah,
I refuse to
just-
pay you, Donde. You're getting nothing.
5
out of me. I don't
subs
care.
right now can buy you 3 PAR if you want. 5
See-
subs.
See, Brushy bought so much that they don't even include him on the list because if they did, then no one else would want to pay Donde.
You need to play. He was here when he left. He was actually doing very well in the hero list last time.
Quote unquote, very well. Yeah, he was paying Donde.
Yes.
Well, there is still plenty of time remaining in the season for anyone who is not on this list to make it on there, and anyone who is on this list to possibly fall off. So we will see what happens in the weeks to come. But that is it for Hero Series and a recap of the week that was in Hero. Anything that we want to say about Hero before we move on to our recap of Battlegrounds? All right, sweet. Let's move on to BGs. So here we have your second week of playoffs. The same lobby, of course, as the previous week with Bob's Babes, Bob's Bounty Hunters, F2L Silver, and Phantom Force. You can see by the playoff standings that the two teams that advanced out of the lobby were F2L Silver and Bob's Bounty Hunters. We, of course, have the logos for Lemurs and Concede Your Match in the top left and top right for the teams that will be waiting to face F2L Silver and Bob's Bounty Hunters in the 4-team lobby that will be coming up soon for the finals. And Corridon, talk to me about what happened here. Walk me through the final week of this 2-week semifinals match.
Yeah, so it came down to the wire, honestly. When coming into this match, Bob's Bounty Hunters actually had the lead with F2L, and Phantom Force and Bob's Babes were right there, pulling along. But I mean, he got Player of the Week for BGs, and Cole's getting a 1 and the 2 in a lobby. That pretty much solidified it for F2L Silver, and actually getting so many points that it pushed them up and over Bob's Bounty Hunters, who were holding that number 1 spot coming into it. So the way that it was working was that all these points are only generated for those 2 weeks. It doesn't matter how you did in the regular season. It's completely based off of how those 2 weeks were doing. So if there was ever a time to turn it on, it was right now. And I mean, Rice Bowl and Zerillia looking up at Friday split, you can't ask for a better time out of the Phantom Force crew there, but unfortunately, that point discrepancy was just too much for them to overcome and fight their way into that final spot for the finals this week.
Awesome. So setting up for a much anticipated finals, I think. We've got our defending champion in Bob's Bounty Hunters. We have the what I guess many would have tabbed as the preseason favorite in Lemurs, the team just full of 12K MMR, battlegrounds leaderboard players. Um, we've got, and they of course had, I think, first place wire to wire in the season. We
Yeah.
have our runners up from last season, Concede Your Match, who basically returned their whole team from the previous season. And we have the ever present in every series, F2L. They wouldn't be F2L if they didn't get themselves into playoffs with a chance to throw the finals. So it's going to be very exciting to see who comes out on top here. I
Hold on.
Personal bias here, I gotta say, I love Bob's Bounty Hunters. They won it all last season. I'm a big Bob's Bounty Hunters fan. I'm rooting for them. I'll be very happy no matter who wins here, and we hope that we can bring them onto Hearthcenter to celebrate their victory. But we'll find out in just a couple of weeks.
Let's not forget who won the second season of the last new series. And this is the second season of the current newest series.
You're talking
So-
about F2L winning Wild, and now you think F2L is going to win this one?
Yeah, of course.
That is a uphill battle.
It was a
but,
big stretch.
That's
That was
a big
stretch.
That's a tough one. But
You see, I'm just gonna say, you guys last week on Saloon were saying that Cool Boars were not gonna be good, and I was saying they were. And look who was right.
that's not at all true. Let's get the VOD back. You followed my role in Saloon. Get out of
I did.
here.
I did. But the other side were like, nah, it's not all that good. We don't know. It's probably gonna be middling. Nah, Cool Boars are busted.
The biggest thing
Quillboars are
about
pretty
this week,
insane. Yeah,
yeah,
they're patching that, right?
yeah, the biggest
I
thing is
think
going to
that-
be the team who can do the best in the new I guess meta is going to be, because quill boards are going to be changed probably before too many things can be done. So I think tomorrow it might go live, and then Friday is the first time that they have to play. So people had to figure out the quillboard meta within this finite amount of time, and now they have to find out another quillboard meta and just figure it out again. So it's just a lot of flip-flopping and a lot of strange way with the patch notes coming out and the way that the playoffs are going to be. It is good that we're having 2 weeks of finals, so it's not just going to be like somebody gets high rolled and is completely out of it. So it's going to be intense. No matter which way this gets split, it's going to be a storied ending, as you were saying, Ron. Lemurs as your favorite, Concede Your Match as the runners up last year, Bob's Bounty Hunters trying to repeat, and F2L. And I think with F2L, with Itachi, he's looking for his 5th or 6th championship right now too. So Itachi's going to be coming for blood. And when Itachi's got something going on, I don't know, maybe Marty's got something right. There's not many people that can stop Itachi when he's on.
Hey, that's a good
And
storyline in and of itself. Itachi the GOAT looking for a championship in every single series. He's already got Legacy Hero, Wild, and Pro under his belt, I believe.
Yes.
Yeah, so he's looking to fulfill the Tom Brady hand and have a ring for each finger. So, that would be really cool. But we'll have to see.
Absolutely. With that, Marty was talking about some Wild. That is our next series to move on over to. Any final words on BGs before we move to Wild?
Just keep an eye for the patch notes tomorrow, because I think they're going to completely throw Quillboars out. I think they might break them and then have to refix them personally.
Yeah, absolutely. It might get real crazy here in just a bit, so stay tuned for the patch for sure. With that, let's head on over to Marty B's Stats Corner, where we've got some updated archetypes for you in Wild. Talk to me, Marty. What's going on in the Wild meta right now?
Meta is on the verge of a shakeup, really. Hand buff Paladin is pretty much the best deck in the game right now, or at least in Wild. And it's all but guaranteed to see some sort of hit, right? So we're looking at a slightly different meta next week. I don't know how much is going to change. Who knows? But this week, Mage was finally surpassed in variety. Took a lot of meme decks and a lot of like underrated decks, I think. But Paladin now has more archetypes being played this last week than Mage. So we had 5 Odd Paladins. No surprise, Odd Paladin is always around. It's the most consistent tier 2 deck in Wild, in my opinion. Dude Paladin is still showing some life. Hand Buff Paladin, of course, is the most popular, 33 brings. Someone brought a Murloc Paladin. We had a Spiteful Murloc Paladin. Those were actually separated. A Libram Paladin, which isn't as much of a meme as you'd think. 2 Aggro Paladins, which apparently is still really good, though I have my doubts in Conquest, but I don't have any stats on it, so I can't say. And finally, a Clown Paladin with Prismatic Lens, which is a lot of fun. Going upward now.
I think
May
I I've got maybe an older meta report from you. I took the
Oh,
last one that you posted, but
let me give
maybe
it
you
to you.
reposted a previous one
It could be.
because
Let me
you're
grab
listing some archetypes that I don't see on the image. Don't worry, we'll try to get that fixed for you guys in just a moment.
Yes. I will upload those. There you go, Ron, and we will get those on the screen. In the meantime, though, Mage. We have Secret being the most popular archetype there, followed by Waker Mage. There's
Okay,
one
there we
Mozaki
go.
Mage.
It's updated.
Perfect, so everyone can see. One Mozaki Mage, one Spell Damage Mage. This is like, so this Spell Damage Mage is a bit misleading. It's not at all like the standard builds from last expansion. It's kind of build your own Mozaki OTK Mage. Okay, so you drop a minion that has spell damage or gets spell damage somehow, and then you pop off with a bunch of spells and kill your opponent and win. Next up, we had 5 Reno Secret Mages. Reno Secret Mage has kind of been around a bit more lately. It's been kind of rising in popularity. I don't know how much it'll rise given nerfs coming up, but it's exciting. And then 1 Exodia Mage. This is the Quest Exodia, popularized by AFAR in the EU. You play Quest, you get through your deck with Potion of Illusion and Molten Reflections. Finish your quest with Evocation on the same turn, and then play the quest, Antonitis, and OTK your opponent. Really cool deck.
Good old Tony. He always
yeah,
shows up every now and then.
Incanter's Flow is really good, turns out. And so is Springwater
Yes.
and Conjure Mana Biscuit. Mana cheating good. Who would have thought? Not a problem at all, according to Blizzard. Moving on. Hunter is seen its most popular week in quite a long time in Wild. 7 brings, 1 Tonk, 2 Reno, 1 Even, 1 Face Hunter. This was actually based on the standard Face Hunter. You don't really see this much, but they kind of took the standard build, swapped in Leroy and a few other wild cards, and called it a day. And then 2 Secret Hunters. I need to put a disclaimer there because of Rice Bowl. He said it's not so much a Secret Hunter as it is anti-Waker Mage Hunter, where you have a bunch of Secret Tutors, but the only secrets you run is Pressure Plate and Stipe, so that you could kill those pesky Wakers and Sorcerer's Apprentices and your opponent never combos. Druid up next. 2 Malygos Druids, 2 Aggro Druids, 6 Jade Druids, 1 Linecracker Druid. Bit of a surprise there, but otherwise nothing too crazy. Demon Hunter, still have the 1 Reno, still the 1 Odd. Those just kind of stick around. Now we go down to Priest. Okay, Priest, there's really no updates. 30 combo Reno Priests, so that's the spawn builds. No Quest Reno because the person who brings that brought a few other different decks that we'll get to in a minute. And finally, 10 Big Priests. Big Priest always around. Pretty unique in this meta where it is really the only hard counter to the most popular deck, or the best deck, in my opinion, in Hand Buff Paladin. So it does have a role. And yeah. Rogue, seeing a lot of different builds here too. 5 Kingsbanes is the most Kingsbane Rogue we've seen all season. 1 Odd Rogue that's just kind of sticking around still. We have a Mechazine Rogue, which kind of pops its head in on occasion throughout the seasons. Usually it's one of those hypercycle builds where you get into Anka and then you play Mechathune, play a Pyro with 1 health or something, and then you Secret Passage everything away. when your deck is empty. And then because the Secret Passage sends your cards to the Nether Realm, or the Shadow Realm, whatever you want to call it, you kill your opponent. It's a really cool combo. People are still bringing Mill Rogue. I don't know why, but they insist. We also had a Pillager Rogue. My teammate actually played against that Pillager Rogue, and the Pillager Rogue, I think, stole a game. It was pretty cool. And we had an Apothecary Rogue again. Now that Nozdormu is unbanned, Apothecary Rogue can live on. Okay, moving on, we have Shaman. This was actually from the person who usually brings the Quest Reno Priest. This was a dragon build, so a bit unique compared to the traditional big shamans that we've seen in the past. 4 Murloc Shamans. I actually played a part in that. Brought Murloc Shaman for the meme a little bit, but it was fine. I never even played it. 2 Reno Shamans and 1 Elemental Shaman that has been sticking around. We go down to Warlock, 23 Dark Layers, 6 Reno Warlocks, 6 Cube Warlocks. I think Cube and Reno Warlock are a bit underplayed because Dark Layers is so popular. Dark Layer is a top deck, but there's a lot of potential with those slower Warlock archetypes as well. Outside of those, we have a Darkest Hour Warlock, which is a bit of a control Warlock, but just plays big minions. A Mechathune Warlock, 2 Cute Warlocks. For anyone who's wondering, this is where you play a bunch of 0 mana 1/1s like Snowflipper Penguin and Wisp. And so it's cute. And it's basically aggro druid, but with life tap. So really crazy. It takes advantage of that new core card, the 0 mana destroy a minion on your side. If you have 5 minutes minions, then summon a 5/5 in its place. Really cool. And 1 discard warlock, which we have all seen before. Finally, pirate war or warrior in general. Mostly dominated by pirate, about just under half were pirate warrior, 6 odd warriors. Then we had a bit of a variety here. Hand buff is kind of getting some population traction here. Or popularity, sorry. Popularity and traction. 3 brings this week. It's just gradually going up very slowly every week. 1 big warrior, which just rears its head from 1 player. A charge warrior, which is a bit unique because that came from unnerfs and was kind of dead once expansion came out, but here it is. And what is dead may never die. 2 Dead Man's Hand warriors.
Always got to have that dead man's hand warrior.
Always. The cultists are everywhere.
Also, I have only just now discovered the existence of Cute Warlock, which is going to be, I think, something I'm going to be required to craft because my partner already, her favorite class is Warlock. She almost never plays any Hearthstone at all, but when she does, she makes her own decks that are always Warlock and she tries to throw as many cute cards as possible. So knowing that this is a quasi-viable archetype, oh my god, it's happening.
If it makes you feel better, it's a very cheap deck. I
Nice.
think the only legendaries are Solarium and Zephyrus because some people play Zephyrus. It was a China deck at first.
She
They
likes
put it there.
Wisp. I've already crafted a golden Wisp for her. It is what it is.
Yeah, so you'll be fine. Just some people run Desk Imp over Tiny Fin because of Zephyrus problems, but you can always just take out the ugly, cute minion and add the cutest one back.
Solid. Definitely the
So.
change that will happen. All right, but uh, with that, let's move on over to our recap of Wild last week in green. Let's get this one up on the screen here. And we are looking at, surprise, surprise, it is the same teams that we are used to seeing in the top 1 and 2. Everyone's a winner, and F2L Viridian just back at it, the Titans of Wild in that number 1 and 2 spot. We've got Mancrick's Revenge. No Fin can stop us. A little bit, close behind that. They're in striking distance, and then after that it kind of drops off with the rest of the teams for the point totals and what they need to overcome to get into contention. But let's start off with our recap of the highlights. Everyone's a winner versus Felmy Amarek, and honestly, I'm kind of impressed. Felmy Amarek is a team that hasn't found a win yet, but they still picked up 12 against Everyone's a Winner, who, I mean, nobody beats Everyone's a Winner. So, moral victory? Talk to me about this one, Marty. What happened here?
Yeah, so I was actually in contact with some of these guys on Everyone's a Winner during the week with how this was going, and they were on their heels for a bit. They were like, "Is Felmy Amarek gonna tie with us?"
Is this last
Like,
week's standings? I thought I updated that.
it could be. I'm not sure. This looks right to
Yes,
me.
now it's updated.
Oh,
They're still the same top teams, but a Noyo team has actually moved into more striking distance, and No Fin Can Stop Us has dropped down a little bit. Mancrook's Revenge is still in that number 3 spot. Um, Sometimes it gets a little glitchy when I put this on here, and it wants to revert to the previous week, but. Yeah, the save didn't take, but it's up there now. Everyone's a winner, 82 points. F12 Viridian, 81. Thank you for calling that out, chat. Sorry to interrupt you, Marty. Right back at it.
I'm just gonna say I'm a little mad because now we're 1 point behind Everyone's a Winner. But it's okay. We'll get that point back later. Anyways, Everyone's a Winner was, really tested this week. They were on their heels for quite a bit. Absolute taking the early loss against Mentalistic. Really, my biggest surprise is seeing Filmium a rec at 0-4. This is not an 0-4 team, in my opinion. I thought they were going to be higher, and their scores dictate the same thing, too. Remember, they're above a 1-3 team, which means they've gotten more points losing every week than a team that won one of their weeks. So they're still getting points. Like they're getting double digit points every single week, just losing. I can only imagine what's going to happen when they finally start getting those W's. So definitely expect them to turn them around in the second half of the season. They're not out of this at all.
For sure. It's always a long season, and just picking up points against a solid team like this is something to be proud of still, and maybe they can turn it around in future weeks when they maybe have a little bit easier of a schedule. I mean, you look at Felmi Amarek, and they are so deep in the red with that strength of schedule there. So 0-4, not totally indicative maybe of the strength of the team, and we might see them turn things around here in the near future. Everyone's a winner, just doing what they do. 3 4-0s up at the top of their team, and fully undefeated 6J from last season, down in their 5 seed at 2-2. Just always a very scary team. With that, let's move on to the next highlighted match, though, and it literally can't get closer than this. We've got a 14-14, just a straight up tie here. Talk to me, Marty. What's going on with Mancrook's Revenge versus Mad Scientists?
Mancrook's Revenge is second tie this season already. Okay, kind of impressive. Um, you know, Praise Chicken Drumstick at the top. The 4-0. It's very impressive. Especially taking it over Number Theory, who's been sticking it out for Mad Scientist for a while now. Joe Bean 0-0 stepping in for Lord Zav. I really hope Lord Zav is okay. I know he's sick, and I know he's been going through some things. I'm hoping for the best. Sinners to me, just send him our regards. We're hoping for the best. Really, it's super impressive that it's come to this. Mancrook's Revenge, even 67 points at 2-0-2. Even when they tie, they're getting a lot of points. Though I look at their strength of schedule and it's a little bit weaker, so maybe they drop a little bit. Maybe that's just early shaking things off and they're fine. Who knows? Mad Scientists, this was just a big week for them. They're now in the middle of the pack. They're still around, sticking in the thick of it, even though they're 1-2-1. I think it's very impressive. Siege getting the 3-0 sweep was the big one, I think.
Yeah, picked up a player of the week for it, too.
Yeah, it should be really interesting to see how these guys adjust as nerfs come. So I think that's going to make or break both of these teams.
I have to agree with you here, and it's real interesting to see Mancrook's Revenge just totally undefeated. It's an unconventional undefeated, but it is an undefeated season, which means we've got 3 undefeated teams in Wild right now, and I'm very interested to see which one is going to drop out first. I'm sure, Marty, you're going to say it's not going to be F2L, right? My money's on F2L.
Let If you were to ask me, I could give you one, but I'm going to be fair to everyone else.
Right on.
Okay.
With that, let's move on to our final highlighted match of Wild for this week. It is the Pog Merchants, who started with a shaky opening. They were 0-2, but now they're on a tear. Got a pretty high strength of schedule, maybe relating to why they started off a little shaky here. But No Fin Can Stop Us was undefeated after 2 weeks, and Pog Merchants was 0-2 after 2 weeks. Things have completely flipped with this reversal of fortune, 18-10 here. What went down in this one, Marty?
Yeah, so looking at these teams, early in the before the season started, anyone who knew these guys knew that these were probably top teams in the conference. Okay, Pog Merchants, Stack, Diamond did a great job putting them together. And Seth for Christ did a fantastic job putting No Fin together. Okay, these are all really strong lineups and players. So, and as you can see with the scores, it was still pretty close. Only one sweep. The rest were 5-game matches. So the score is a bit misleading because 3 of those went to one side. Had one of those matches gone the other way, then this doesn't look nearly as dominant for the Pog Merchants. One thing I want to say, this was Lasagna's first non-sweep loss. I think his collection is hurting him. He's usually an EU player, and his collection is a little bit weaker on NA, which is why he's struggling a bit. He has some budgeting going on with his decks. As you can see, Yo Daddy took advantage of that. Lasagna usually brings Dark Lair Warlock, which he has a full build of, and Yo Daddy just banned it. And that left Lasagna with things like Pirate Warrior, his Dude Paladin, and Odd Demon Hunter, which is a little bit weaker into certain lineups if the opponent wants to build in anticipation of that.
Makes sense. Still, though, very strong win for the team. And as the season goes on, maybe he gets to deepen that collection a little bit or just finds a groove that works. Certainly, no one is questioning the caliber of player that the Pog Merchants have there. And if he's the one in the 5 seed that hasn't picked up a win yet, and the team is still, in 5th place at this stage in the season, definitely a team to keep an eye on.
Absolutely. For anyone who doesn't know, Lasagna is actually an insane player outside of THL. He's qualified for Wildside West versus China tournaments, which are very difficult. You need to first qualify by being top 10 on ladder on a server and then getting through a round robin qualifier. So he's gotten in through there. And he did fairly well in the kind of screwy tournament series that was held over the last weekend. Triple rank 1 on all 3 servers in Wild at one point.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah,
Quite an
he's like
achievement. So
an
I don't
insane
think
player.
that winless season is going to hold for too much longer.
Absolutely not.
All right, with that, let's move on. Since this is our last highlighted match of the Wild Series, we've got PPR in every series for this week. So let's see who makes it in PPR for Wild.
Donde, where am I?
You didn't pay him off. Unfortunate. Should have planned
Mm-mm-mm.
that out. Paid off Donde. But we are going to start off here. Our number one, we've got some familiar names. Battle Tagger, 4-0 with the 12-3 game score and 17 PAR in the number one spot. Hazer coming up right behind in the number two at 4-0 with 17 PAR. We have our crossover player leader, Mr. Python, in a three-way tie for third place. Mr. Python, 4-0, 12-4, 16 PAR, identical to Pace, 4-0, 12-4, 16, and PCDS, 4-0, 12-4, 16 PAR. I got to pause here for a second. Anytime we see an acronym, what's PCDS stand for?
Braised chicken drumstick.
That's right. I've heard that before, and it's fantastic. I got to remember that for next time. What an incredible acronym. Moving on, we've got the number 6 spot goes to Corbett at 4-0, 12-6, 14 PAR. We still haven't even found a player on this list yet with a loss. Tied for 6 is Get Me Out with the same exact win rate and game score and PAR as Corbett here, 4-0, 12-6, and 14. Sunday coming in at 4-0 with 12-7 and 13 PAR. The Rotted Zombie coming in with 3-1 and 12 PAR, and to round it out in the 10 spot, it is Bone Masher, 3-1, 12 PAR. Finally, we have our honorable mentions. Dr. Bomb D, 3-1. Lord Zav, as we mentioned, we are wishing them all the best in their personal issues that are going on, and hope that they recover to a healthy point at some point in the hopefully near future. Maybe we can even keep a spot reserved for them in honorable mentions even past this point. Risa at 2-2, Memnarch at 3-1, and Slod coming in to round out the honorable mentions at 2-2. Congratulations to all of our wild PPR players for week 4. Keep in mind, you want to be on this list, just bribe Donde. You're not on this list, blame Donde.
Good summary.
Any other things that we want to say about the Wild Series before we cut on over for a quick commercial? Actually, a quick update, come to think of it. But last words on Wild before we move on?
I think we're ready for that update.
All right. So let's get back on over to the caster screen. And for anyone who was checking the Octathlon channel in the THL Discord while the show was going on, we do actually have some updates here. Donde has announced his Octo announcement that NPH has won the Octathlon in some unspecified time in the past, and all members of NPH will receive a $10 bundle of Barons packs. Special shout out to double gold medalist Lolnenko for winning the MVP. In addition to that $10 bundle, he will receive the upcoming mid-set expansion pre-order for free. So, hey, we promised some Octathlon updates, and somehow we actually delivered. I was just memeing, but turns out we have some real news. Thanks, Dante. Um, so yeah, there you go. Congratulations to NPH. I think we all already knew for quite some time that they had won, but now it has been made official. And congratulations again to Lolnenko. Just incredibly dominant performance, well-deserved MVP. With that, we got a rapid fire commercial for you real quick before we move on to our Legacy and Pro recaps. So, in the spirit of timeliness, let's jump right into it. Hey there, Twitch viewers. Have you subscribed to Team Hearth Legends yet? No? Then make today the day to be a legend yourself and subscribe to our channel. This subscription will enable the THL team to help cover the various costs of operating our website, as well as improve the quality of our streams and content to our viewers. If you have Amazon Prime or Twitch Prime, you can actually subscribe to this channel for free. Subscribers get a THL emoticon as well as a lovely THL chat badge. So hit that heart button and keep the notifications on to make sure you catch our team broadcasting live. We appreciate each and every one of you. Special note to our viewers, check out THL's other social media points of interest. Our website, teamhearthlegends.com. Follow us on Twitter at THL_HS. Join us on Discord at Team Hearth Legends. Check out the THL PAL podcast for power rankings for all series wherever you find your podcasts. The true Hearth Legends himself, Saku, continues to post all of our videos on our YouTube channel. Just search for Team Hearth Legends to catch everything previously recorded. You're, of course, watching us on our Twitch channel live, twitch.tv/Team Hearth Legends, or possibly on our YouTube channel in the future. And for all you THL fanatics out there, there are THL shows every single day of the week, except actually sometimes Monday now, where we have a tournament instead. But you cannot go wrong tuning in at any time for some amazing Hearthstone-related content. Now back to the good part. In this case, that would be our Legacy recap. Let's dive right into it. Legacy Gold. We've got our newest shakeup because we very much like to make members of teams upset when we talk about logos and who is at the top. So first off, we have Do You Even Talk and Defias Brotherhood are at the very top of total points in Gold Conference. And if this were any other week in Hearthcenter's past, they would be your logos. But we have made a change. We've listened to the community, we've heard you, and you said we need to be sorting by points per week. So you know what? There it is. Hot Zilfs, 18 points per week. Orcs at Smorks, 16.33 points per week. And these two teams are your leaders in the Gold Conference right now. Very close behind, of course, Tonk and Defias. Chaos Theory and Oyo team. It's crazy how many points these teams have that separate out from our two leaders in points per week who had their buys at a early point in the season. So now they don't get penalized for that. Hope you like the change. With that, let's jump into some recaps here. Corridon, talk to me about Do You Even Talk versus a Noyo team. Big points for this team to have the most total points in gold right now. Logo or not, Tonk is doing great. Talk to me about this one.
Yeah, Tonk pretty much picking back up where they left off last year or last season. Justin had to do a lot of PR shifting with these guys, but I think he's found something that's going to work out. You know, everyone was kind of up in the air with not knowing Canoe. Everyone knew him from, I think, Tespa coming in. Roofsky is Tespa as well. And even have a Pokemon 661 subbing into the 2 seed, going up against Karsus and getting the W. So right there, I mean, it kind of shows the depth that Justin and the Tonk team can pull from. It's pretty substantial. A Noyo team, you know, you got RoboCats who was off to a really strong 2-0, but might be settling down 2-2 now. So hopefully RoboCats will be able to pick it back up. But Justin is such a strong opponent. I don't think there's anything too wrong with that there. Again, Pokemon taking a 3-2 over Karthus. NJO taking a 3-2 over Geranium Battle. You had Canoe taking a 3-2 over the subbing Chirip. And Roofsky, who has honestly been on fire in a few series right now, taking a 3-1 win over Zathund. I'm going to go
Z-Thund,
with
I think.
Zthund. But I mean, Do You Even Tonk is just doing exactly what they're asking people. Do they tonk? It's gonna be super tight. I mean, even from 1 to 4 here, you're only seeing 7 points in the difference, which, you know, at a bye week in the very top. So clearly that shows right now with that discrepancy. So once one of these teams takes a bye week, it might be able to sneak up there. There's a lot that can happen in a very short amount of time for this gold conference with such a small point differential.
Absolutely. I think both of these teams are very much competitors in Gold Conference. Um, I would say definitely keep an eye on Tonk and Anoyo team because uh, playoffs coming around. I think it's very likely that we'd see both of these teams making playoffs. Anoyo team might be a little bit further out of it in contention as of right now. But that is a very strong team with a loaded roster. Do You Even Tonk, of course, already kind of proving themselves some more. Except, we're not going to talk about that 3 seed, right? No need to talk about the
No,
3 seed.
no, never talk 3 seeds.
But yeah, this great match. Very well-deserved win for Tonk here. And only 2-2, but just picking up big points. So it goes to show how much is involved with picking up points wherever you can get them. It is so incredibly important in these series. The win-loss record, not nearly as relevant there as we will see in the weeks to come and as it gets closer to that playoff time. Let's move on to our next match now, where we've got a real close matchup here. Chaos Theory was close to the top in gold last week and played the current top team in gold in points per week in Hot Zilfs. It came close, and I think you know who blew it. It was that 1 seed. It all fell apart from there. I lost to Better Donde. But talk to me about this match here, Corridon. What take do you have on Chaos Theory versus Zilfs?
I mean, not only did Better Donde win, Donde won. So I mean, that kind of goes to show, right? Um, no, again, it was so close. I mean, when you're looking at Hot Zilfs, they're 3-0 right now. They did have that early bye week, so being with 54 points on the scoreboard, I don't think it really goes to show as this series progresses and once more bye weeks are happening. Hot Zilfs should probably be up at the 1 or the 2 right now. Like I think they're probably one of the highest contending teams at the moment in playoffs. Not to take anything away from Chaos Theory. Took them to a 16-3, got every point available right there, sitting in a three spot in the overall conference right now. I mean, you really couldn't paint these any closer except for that 1 seed, the 3-1. Um, it's as close as you can get them. 4 3-2s across the board. And yeah, I mean, uh, ever elusive first win, was hoping to give it to or get it and then give Kotamora his first loss of the season, but Kotamora was able to hang on there and just sneak through. So I really do think Hot Zilfs is going to be a extremely strong contender right now. I just think the people don't realize the impact that the early buys have and don't really necessarily see like, okay, 54 points. Well, the teams above them are the only reason that they are above them because they have an extra week of points. So that's what
Right.
I would say, definitely for sure.
Yeah, so we've listened to the feedback. That's why we've updated those logos to kind of more accurately uh, represent with a season that features buys which teams are actually doing better on a per week basis here. Hot Zilfs, of course, very, very strong to start off the season. And interestingly, this series against Chaos Theory, it was a series with a good deal of reverse sweeps. You're talking about Jim almost getting that first win. He actually had a 2-0 lead, and
Oh
Kotamura got
no.
3 straight. But it happened the other way, too. Isocles had a 2-0 lead on Donde, and Donde pulled off the reverse sweep, too. So back and forth this series went. Was definitely an interesting one. And we will be keeping an eye on both of these teams in the weeks to come, see if we get some more well-fought matches that wind up being nail biters again. With that, let's move on to the red conference here and see who we've got repping the top teams in red. Any changes from last week? No, of course not. It's Illidan's Death Knights and Flame Pimps. And I gotta say, it is so perfect that the way that we've changed this lets me continually grief Dad Legend just over and over. They are up there now. They're number 2 in the total points. Last week they were tied for second in the total points, and I just bounced them from the logo in favor of I think like strength of schedule as a tiebreaker, or it might have been points per week. But now we're sorting by points per week, which means Illidan's Death Knights does not get punished for their bye. They are reigning in the top spot at 17.33, followed by Flame Pimps at 16.25. And Dad Legend, you're so close. You're so close, but not quite yet for that logo. And we're going to start with their match here. Flame Pimps versus Dad Legend, a 14-11. And we've got a tie coming up next. So just really close matchups throughout, it seems, in most of our series here. Corden, I'm coming right back to you for this one. Talk to me about Flame Pimps versus Dad Legend.
Most talked about. I know it was a question on Saloon last week with, who was going to take the victory. Flame Pimps coming out for 14-11, and it came down to it. I mean, I was watching this one from the beginning. It was a 10-10. And Taco Cat and Anazabe had to play. I don't know how you cut it any closer. They were tied for first place, and Taco Cat coming out. But really, the one I want to talk about here the most is Icer. Icer is just playing outstanding right now. 4-0. Could have honestly gotten the player of the week themselves. Just has been playing extremely well in that 2 seed against some very, very strong opponents, handing your mom kid his first loss of the season. So, and then even seeing 2 sweeps here. It's pretty crazy. I know Marty was on Saloon saying the Ducharme Goose, so it's funny to see he was right there. Goose did get the 3-0 sweep over Ducharme, so Marty must be happy about that one there. But it
Talk
but
about
Blue
my
Spartan
prediction for
but
the Blue Spartan versus Boolean game.
was it
Just
was
the Goose versus Ducharme. That's perfect. I was spot on with everything here.
Yeah, well, I think we all kind of lit a fire under, stats legend, prep master Blue Spartan, because he showed up with that big 3-0 victory. I think he was listening to everyone pick against him on Around the Saloon. Um, Descharmo, of course, some of us may have gotten that right, but Blue Spartan coming up big against Boolean and almost swung it for Dad Legend, but Taco Cat, as Corridon mentioned, coming through in the clutch.
Yeah, it was just insane. And Goose getting the first win is, I think, even more important there. Coming into week 5 now, if you don't have a win under your belt, it is going to be. I think it's a little bit of a mind game when you're coming in as an 0-3 and 0-4. So hats off to Goose for getting that chip off your shoulder, that monkey off your back, and able to hopefully use that and push forward going through. Because Flame Pimps, I mean, these guys are scary. They're pretty scary.
Yeah, for sure. Both just teams that I think are easily ones we can tab as contenders for playoffs for sure in both Flame Pimps and Dad Legend. But let's move on now to our next highlighted match where we have the Bank Yugi fan club tied against Fish.
Fish.
Just Fish.
I love that name. It's so great and to the point. It's just perfect.
Yeah, so Corridon, I'm coming right back to you. Take
Yeah,
it
man.
away on this one here. I mean, it literally doesn't get closer than a tie. This was, one of those wars of attrition, but not quite as bad as we see in some other ties. A lot of times we see like a 12-12, but 14 is, I mean, that's a 15-pointer for each team here with the extra one you get for the tie. I think both teams can kind of walk away relatively happy.
Yeah, I mean, you can't call it any closer, as you said, and you can't really be. I guess the only thing happier is if you won. I guess everyone was a winner here, not just over in Wild for Fish and Bank Yugi. So,
Oh, nice.
oh yeah, no, it's really good because you don't see any sweeps here. You really do have it cut as close as it needs to be. No Glocko's still looking for that elusive first win, but I don't think that's going to be a problem. I definitely think
Well, actually,
Glocko.
interesting
Oh,
update on that. I think he is subbing out for Bank Yugi Fan Club, possibly a perma sub.
okay,
Not
okay.
entirely sure, but I would definitely expect a player like him to be able to pick up a win as the
Yeah,
season goes on. But I
absolutely.
think we have a change. If anyone from Bank Yugi Fan Club or who knows, tell us in the chat. But I'm pretty sure that is coming up soon.
Yeah,
Sorry,
no,
go ahead,
if
continue.
not, oh yeah, no, that's great information. But if it's not the case, I don't think a player like Glocko has no problem finding that first win. But I mean, you cut it close. This wasn't actually the only tie as well. There was another tie in. It was almost like the week of ties. There was ties in Hero, ties in Legacy. It was all over the place. But the biggest thing is, like you said, the 15 points. It does put these guys both kicking in, kind of the bottom part of the leaderboard right now, honestly chasing Illidan's Death Knight, which is a 3-0 team who had the bye and is in 4th place. So for these teams to get 15 points in a tie and technically not lose is really what you need to see from them if they want to start moving up the standings.
Absolutely. You called it the week of ties. Remember that as we move on to pro. But any last words on the matches or the standings right now in the Legacy series before we get to our recap of the ever so rigged PPR for Legacy?
I would just say watch out for Illidan's Death Knights. They're playing down with that bye week early, but they're 4th place and top of points per week. I can't see, and they're undefeated right now.
Yeah, and
It's
look at
gonna,
that strength of schedule. That's a
yeah,
scary
like
team right
that's the
now.
highest rate. Like that is a 3-0 with the highest strength of schedule and the highest points. that team's terrifying. So if you're against them, I mean, I wish you luck.
Yep. They're they're definitely, I think, the number one team to watch as it stands right now in red, and we're excited to see what next week is going to bring, if they can be dethroned or if they will maintain that perfect record. Can you still hear me?
I'm here. I'm
Okay.
back.
My
I don't know what
computer
happened.
my computer briefly froze on me.
Uh,
But yeah, okay, it's looking fine. Okay, I think we're fine.
yes,
just
we
just
are.
gonna make my heart skip a beat for a moment. No big deal. Here it is, week 4 player power rankings for the Legacy series, and we've got Icer in the top spot with just an insane start to the season. 4-0, 12-3 game score with 19 PAR, followed very closely behind by Wild 9, 4-0 and 17 PAR. We've got Kotamora, also undefeated, 4-0 and 15. Nice Jewish Owl showing up in the number 4 spot at 3-0 with 15 PAR, followed by Rice Bowl, 3-0 in the number 5 spot there at 14 PAR. Blue Spartan coming in at the number 6 spot, 3-1, 14 PAR. Jolt C, also undefeated, make an appearance on this list at number 7, 3-0 and 12. We've got a tie in the number 8 with Geranium Battle and Roofski, with identical 3-1 scores, 11 and 5 game scores, and 12 PAR apiece. And the number 10 is Myanodon at 3-1, 10 and 4, and 12 PAR, followed finally by our honorable mentions, always just in time at 3-1, Kura Finway at 3-1, Dead Snoop 1-2-3 with a 3-1 record, T Stew and Zeroshio coming in undefeated at 3-0 apiece. Interesting to see, sometimes we have our undefeated players a little bit behind some one-loss players, but just blame Donde.
All Donde's fault.
Clearly, these undefeated players who
Followed
are
by
lower on
Wild
the list
9.
have not bribed Donde enough yet, so make sure you get on that.
Yeah.
I think the crazy thing with these PAR ratings is the actual discrepancy, or not discrepancy, but the just placement between like first seeds and fifth seeds. I mean, we've got 5 fifth seeds on here right now, so it just goes to show that those 5 seeds are really key for teams. And I mean, always probably some of the most valuable assets to have going into these tight cap PR areas.
Point. That's what Donde wants you to believe.
I don't know, man. Kotamora at a 4-0. I can't take anything away from the guy, so.
Yeah, actually, interestingly, Kotamura, he's my teammate on Chaos Theory, and he keeps pulling off reverse sweeps. He, that's how he likes to win, apparently. He likes to bait his opponent into a false sense of security by handing them 2 wins and then just crush their hopes and dreams by taking 3 straight. So, you got to hand it to him. The strategy,
Yeah.
it doesn't work for everybody, but it's working for him. Interesting. And congratulations, of course, to be at number 3 on that list there. And congratulations to all of our Week 4 Legacy Series Power Rankings players. We'll say it every time. If you are on this list already, then it was never rigged, Donde had nothing to do with it. It's just because you're the best. And if you aren't on this list, it's completely rigged, and it's all Donde's fault, and everyone's just bribing him. And you've got plenty of time to make it on the list as the season marches along. With that, any last words on Legacy before we move to our final series to recap for the week? All right, awesome. Let's move on over once again back to Marty B's Stats Corner. I think actually this was the non-updated one. Let me get that updated for you so we have the correct one.
Oh, this is the right one. This is just going to bother me because there's 0 clown druids this week. It's
Oh, it
okay
is the
though.
right one. Okay, excellent.
Yeah, it's okay. We're gonna pretend that Clown Druid is not on the list because there's no Clown Druid, so it's fine. Now, looking at this, we'll start at the top with Demon Hunter. 6 combo Demon Hunters, 3 mid-range Demon Hunters. Guys, we all know mid-range Demon Hunter sucks. Why are we still bringing it?
I don't know, man. I even stopped playing it.
It's
That's
just
saying something.
don't bring it, okay? Don't bring it. I've been waiting for this class to go, or for this archetype to go away. I don't have enough stats on it to officially say that it's bad, but the low sample size stats I do have say it's bad. So stop bringing it. Nerfs are coming too. Maybe that changes things, but if you're playing before. Anyways, Druid. 15 token Druids. Clown Druid, what is that? I don't know. Doesn't exist.
I
Okay,
like how you actually
ignore
have the
the.
0 on there for clown.
Yeah, I update these after I fill these out. Like I'll just copy and paste a new sheet and then go through all the archetypes because people like rolling over and I'm lazy.
Fair.
But we don't talk about that. Now, Hunter, we have a new development there. We had someone bring Leerox Hunter. This person actually brought a meme lineup. They were subbing in. They brought a fun deck lineup. Didn't work out too well, but it's fun to see new decks. And yes, this is the Leerox King Crush OTK deck. So that was exciting to see. Mage. Everyone's bringing Spell Mage. That's the way to go. Spell Damage Mage. 4 brings. Doesn't seem nearly as popular. Then finally, the 1 Hero Power Mage. As we said before, there was a meme lineup, and a Hero Power Mage was part of it. Move on to Paladin. 2 Libram Paladins, 10 Secret Paladins, 26 Aggro Paladins. It seems like people have been really shifting away from Secret Paladin and going for that Aggro Paladin instead. So people are cutting out the Secret packages, putting in good minions and buffs, and calling it a day. Whether that's the right thing to do or not, tough to say because it really depends on the meta and what you're trying to target. And I'm sure people will agree on latter as well. As for Priest, 55 Control Priests, 1 Rally Priests, 2 Big PP Priests. I was actually yelled at on stream on Sunday by Lotus for not bringing Big PP because I was such a huge proponent of it last week. Kind of disappointed to see it was only 2 brings this week, but who knows, with nerfs and changes coming, maybe it gets more popular. Now,
You never
Rogue.
know.
Yeah, the Big PP may rear its big ugly head and
Oh,
come
Moving
out of the
on.
bowl. I don't know, man. You ready for the beatdown?
Oh God.
Well, when I say beatdown, I actually mean solitaire because there were 14 weapon rogues brought, and it doesn't get much more solitaire than that at the moment. Outside of that, Miracle Rogue was the most popular rogue archetype with 30 of those. 13 Secret Rogues? I don't know. At first, Secret Rogue was less popular than Miracle. Then it seemed to even out. Okay, but trends say that Miracle Rogue just got more popular again. I don't know why that is or what people were trying to target. Maybe they expected more Priest, and Miracle Rogue does better into Priest because it runs Dragon Queen Alexstrasza more often than Secret Rogue. Could be that. Could be something else. But that is where the meta has gone. Shaman, finally, going down in play rate. The one team that would always bring Shaman decided to finally start moving away from Shaman. Now we only have 1 aggro Shaman left. Let's get rid of it before the changes, please. We move to Warlock. Warlock is the same as last week. 6 control Warlocks, 1 delete Warlock. Not much in terms of updates there. We have 57 Rush Warriors, 3 Control Warriors. Control Warriors just been gradually falling off, both on ladder and in Conquest, so it's not surprised that people are just focusing on the one archetype that is tried and true that we all know. And finally, the last part of that meme lineup was a Frenzy Warrior. So if you want to check out a fun deck that seemed probably the most competitive of that lineup, check it out.
Now that's fancy.
Now, should we go over the matches?
Absolutely. Let's get those up on the screen here. So we're moving on over to the Black Conference, and we have our new leaders for Black in Faction and Hype Horizon. Group Process is our biggest loser on the change of the points per week from the top point totals as they get eclipsed by Faction, who had an early bye but is on an absolute tear in points per week, dominating the conference with their 17.67. Hype Horizon just barely behind them. And we're starting off with group process versus Faction. The game to determine basically who got their logo in the top left, and Faction came out on top with that 16-10. So let's start with Corridon, because I want to hear Marty talk to me about the Brushy Tuna match. So Corridon, go ahead, take it away with group process versus Faction. What happened here?
Yeah, I mean, it came down to it. Faction has that early buy kind of awkwardness, sporting a nice 3-0, coming into group process, which actually had a tie under their belt earlier on, so was coming in undefeated as well. So one of these teams was taking their first L, and unfortunately, group process drew the short straw, taking a 16-10 loss there. Pretty impressive across the board here. I mean, you see the top teams there: Harash and Foggy. Fog Eye 8 taking a 3-1 victory. The only thing going over towards the side of group process match wise is Solo Jazz getting a sweep over Walter Ruski. So very impressive down there in the 4. And Taco Cat getting Unlimited Power taking a 3-2 victory over Taco Cat for a 16-10 win. I mean, it's kind of, I say close, but it's, in ways of winning, I guess Faction got away with it here, and group process would have liked to grab a couple more points if they could have, but getting 10 points here, still sitting into second place. I mean, there's nothing to scoff at as well. And I think the tie was with Hype Horizon anyway, as we're seeing there on the screen. So tying with the team that you're going after and chasing down is pretty fine, but some traction here, especially still being down that 1 week for the early buy. It's very similar to what we saw with Illidan Death Knights. I mean, early buy, most points per week, and still having an extremely strong schedule. Factions just showing that they're not to be messed with right now.
Definitely major contenders here. No
Oh,
different
and it was
from what they were putting up last season. Just coming back strong again. Yeah, and as Chad is pointing out, unfortunately, you see the question mark there for the ban and no
yes.
ban from Walter Ruski. So that generally indicates that it was a disqualification. Unfortunate, maybe Walter wasn't able to make the match. So things went extremely well for Faction, and
Yeah,
kind of
even
fortunate for group process, I guess, to even pick up that 4. Who knows what the outcome might have been if Walter Ruski had been able to play.
yeah, it could have looked a lot worse. So I mean, it's unfortunate anytime you hear DQ. You hope everything goes well and nothing was too crazy that Walter couldn't get in there. But yeah, I mean, that might be a little bit more beneficial towards Gru getting that 3-0 and denying a little more points towards Faction.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think either team is going to suffer too much, though, with group process hanging out there second in overall points, and of course, Faction still holding the top spot with points per week. Both teams doing very well for themselves. As we move on next to our second highlighted match of the Black Conference here, it's Brushy Tuna versus Swagoi. And Marty, this is the Hearthcenter team almost, it seems, with Lotus Knight, myself, and Desharmo. Talk to me about this one. Hey, what can you say now? We won. You're on
You're
mute
muted,
if
bud. Still.
I know
You're still muted, Marty.
Yeah, Marty, you're muted.
Oh my god. I
There we
clicked on
are.
unmute twice and my mouse double clicked, so it
Nice.
screwed it up. I'm so sorry,
Oh,
everyone.
you're good.
Now, third time's the charm. I'm so conflicted with Brushy Tuna because I love the name and I know you guys are great, but I also always say that you guys lose a lot.
Yes.
So you guys winning this 17-7 kind of takes that away from me. Like just looking at this, I'm really happy to see Sogoi finally move off of Shaman for the most part. They were struggling with Shaman, and if anyone had looked at the win rates on the THL website for Shaman and Pro, it was absolutely abysmal. Like I'm talking about sub 30% win rate. You just bringing Shaman was a throw.
Yeah, poor Shaman. By the way, my match against Cookie Monster, I got 3 wins against his Shaman.
Yep, that's my
Checks
point.
out.
I played
Shaman
non-Shaman
is-
once and I lost.
Yeah, like Sugoi, the main thing holding you back is Shaman. Just get off the Shaman, play another deck.
No. Now there's going to be
It's
buffs and they're going to bring Shaman
Yeah,
again.
they're bringing it back hard next week.
We're
bud.
running it
They're
back.
slamming
Look,
the Shaman
You know what?
button.
You know what I really want to see for a buff? You know the card Landslide?
Yes.
Oh yeah, that's a good.
You know what its original effect was?
No.
Originally, it was not if you're overloaded, cast this again. It was for each mana crystal you're overloaded by, cast this again. So this
Whoa.
was basically Defile for Shaman, which was even more juiced up when you played it in a spell damage build.
Oh, that's insane.
So that card probably would be able to make Shaman viable again. But Blizzard is run by cowards who would never do such a thing. And it makes me sad.
I mean, Shaman seems to occupy the role of either busted please nerf or who even plays this class ever.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate.
Just buff Landslide. That's all I ask. Landslide would be an insane card. A lot of fun for the player. I don't know about the opponent, but the player will have a lot of fun clearing the board, and it'll be super strong. And it'll make Shaman viable.
All right.
Now,
Well, you heard it here. Make sure you mark that down. Marty is calling for the landslide buff. Let's see what happens tomorrow when they release the nerfs and buffs.
Well, I think they're
Ooh.
cowards. They will never do that. But
Fair.
back to the match. Really great on you guys. You know, it seems like you guys brought fairly similar lineups overall. You had a plan. You went in and you executed it extremely well. 2 sweeps, only 1 5-game matchup between Ducharmo and Jared Pollitt. So just extremely well executed by all of you, and you got rewarded. So congrats.
Hey, these things happen sometimes, but let's not dwell on it any further. Swagoi is a strong team, especially if they can maybe not play Shaman quite as much. And, Brushy Tuna, full of scrubs, got lucky once. Doubtful that they will find another victory. Let's move on to Pro last week in pink. And we've got totally different teams up at the top, right? Now that we've restructured this a little bit and we're showing the top points per week, or even if it was top point getters, maybe we can have different logos. No, of course not. It's always Popeye spicy chicken sandwiches. If we're talking about Pink Conference, they're number 1 every time. And number 2 lately, it's always Sheepies. These two teams are just tearing it up. But Corridon, you called it. It was the week of ties. We've got another tie here. And I'm going to come back to you for this one first, Marty, since you are our resident F2L correspondent. So talk to me about Clownstone versus F2L Crimson, 14-14 here.
Yeah, so Itachi had to step away for the week. He had a bit of a busier week. So Skittles was kind enough to jump in. He did his best. We tried setting it up, but Neji's just an insane player, so he got the 3-1 win early on. I think it was Tuesday or Wednesday. But the following day, Corbett got a 3-2 win over German Shep, subbing in for Zarella / Valera / FBM2 / Reggie / whatever his current name is in
Of course.
THL. Outside of that, Kayla's Luna and I played on stream on Schoolstone. And if you want to see how that played out, go check it out. It was really close. Nails and Lotus actually casted that. So it's high-level players playing and being casted by other high-level players. Really exciting stuff.
Congrats on beating America's next GM incoming. Many would expect. Kalis Luna, a very strong player who I think might be the leader in points right now for GM for Americas. So that's a big win.
Turns out, well, there was a bit of a drama in some other places, but some people say that wild players are not very good. Turns out, we're not all that bad. But the last 2 matches actually came later in the night, Sunday night. Che Magician got the 3-2 win over Nails. It was super close, as you can see. Then finally, it came down to the Lumble versus Daravis match. Daravis needed the 2 points, but he only got one, and Lumble was able to seal the tie. So, Clownstone, it's just an insane team. I'm really proud of mine for being able to bring the tie. We were really close to beating them, 15-14, or even just taking a whole win. But, this happens, and given the circumstances, I'm very happy with the results.
Did
Yeah.
that Lumble, was that not an emergency sub, or did Lumble end up playing?
Lumble actually ended up playing. So,
Okay.
for anyone wondering, Lumble is actually being subbed out for the rest of the season. There was a lot of weird stuff going on in general this week for Clownstone. With the Zarella substitute first, German Shep stepped in, and I think he's going to be on the team full time now.
Filling in for Lumble's spot.
Yes, he will be
Yeah.
filling in for Lumble.
I think
Lumble just
Super
kinda,
Chicken is filling as well, a
Yes.
permanent spot.
yeah. So
Yeah.
it's Super Chicken filling in for the permanent spot. Then that's
Yeah.
what it is.
Okay.
But
So, I
yeah.
mean, still a previous member of our defending champs for the boys, whether it was Shep or Super Chicken, very strong players. Talk about not missing a beat.
Yeah, these guys are just poised for another playoff
Actually,
run. So.
It looks like Shep might be permanent as well.
Interesting.
So, because he's not, Super Chicken and Shep look like they are coming in as perma subs.
We've got a For the
Interesting.
Boys takeover of Clownstone? For the Clownstone boys?
Well,
It could be. It might just be formatting, but it looks like, from what I see anyway, that Shep and Super Chicken are, and I think even in the chat, yeah, just Sharma claiming they're both perma subs. So,
Oh, wow.
yeah. So there you go. A little bit of shakeup from that Clownstone team coming into week 5.
Yeah, it'll be
interesting.
interesting to see how this changes the makeup of the team and their chances for playoffs. I mean, they're still kind of sitting there in the number 3 spot for points per week and losing strong players, but gaining strong players. Just keep an eye on them in the weeks to come.
Yeah.
With that, let's move on to our final highlighted match of the Pink Conference and of our night for tonight. We've got PPR to cover. We'll go over the clip of the week and we'll wrap up. But let's take it away with No Pros here versus THL's favorite team to hate, Aeon. Talk to me about this one, Corden. Aeon really got just beat up.
I mean, no pros here might have to change their name to no prisoners here, because holy,
Oh.
did they not take prisoners with Aeon. Man, they smacked them. I think they did everyone in THL a favor and gave the board team a kick in the pants. But I mean, in all seriousness, seeing 2 sweeps. I mean, Donkey got a 3-1 up at the top, but I mean, no pros here in all of their series so far has been coming for blood in every single match in every single series, and I think it could be just the no pros here year of every series right now. I mean, they are sitting in 3rd right now, just outside of the 2 juggernauts of Popeye's Chicken Sandwich and Sheepies. So getting 17 points here and Aeon just pulling up a 6, it's going to be extremely difficult. So, I mean, no pros here again is looking absolutely insane.
Yeah, not only does NPH lead in Hero Series as well, they won the Octathlon
Yeah.
and the NPH crew, where everyone from Concede Your Match is part of NPH, is currently in the BG's finals as well. So NPH is just really a presence in every series right now. Similar to our other, I guess, recognizable THL brand and F2L just showing up across all series. So
Yeah.
it's going to be interesting to watch these races.
I guess NPH has to Concede Your Match might have to rebrand to a no pros here with your mom kid on there. So we'll see. And Agent PWE, we'll see if they have a
Oh no, they're too deep. They're too deep
they're too
fried
deep. They've already made their
their
name.
own meme logo. I think they'll probably run it back as Concede Your Match for
Oh
like
yeah.
an additional season, and it'll be deep fried for like
Even
the
more.
third or fourth or fifth time or whatever it is.
So
It's
much
just gonna get
deep for like
exceedingly
just
ridiculous.
microwaving that image.
Yeah. But let's move on to our PPR as we wrap up for Pro. So one last time, get your rigged emotes ready for our final PPR of the night. We're going to go ahead here with the top one. It is Wet Goose, sitting at the number one spot at 4-0 with a 12-3 game score and 23
Wow.
PAR, 7 above the next place. Just an insane lead on the rest of the field. Followed by Liquid Ox with a strong 4-0 start with 16 PAR. Lotus Knight at 3-0 with 15. McBanterface at 4-0 and 14 PAR. We've got Harash in the 5 spot at 3-0 with 14. Mr. Python, our crossover player of the season leader, showing up on basically every power rankings list at the 6th spot here at 3-1 and 13 PAR. Why the Hunter coming in with an undefeated record, 4-0 at 12 PAR. Fogey 8 at 3-0 in the 8th spot here in 12 PAR for him. We have Azonix coming in at number 9, 3-1 with 12 PAR. And finally, to round out that top 10, Your Mum Ked, 3-1, 12 PAR. And we've got a little bit more honorable mentions in Pro because we actually had a tie in the final honorable mention spot. So to start with our honorable mentions, we have Maniac Monday's winner at 3-0, Ufric 3-0, Pocket Train 3-1, Neji Boston 3-0, and Corbett and Wild 9 with identical 3-1 records with identical game scores and PARs. Congratulations to all of these players on your appearance on the player power rankings list for week 4. As we mentioned, every time, blame Donde if you're not on here, and Donde gets no credit if you are. Any final words on Pro last week before we move on to our home screen and wrap up?
Is there only one NPH guy on the power ranking right now, and that's your mom kid in the 10?
I think so.
This is rigged.
Rigged.
This is
Definitely
rigged,
rigged.
man. Come
Always
on.
rigged.
It's not even me saying it. That's how you know Donde is rigging this.
There you go. All right, so with that, let's move on back to our caster screen. You may have noticed Dr. Lotus Knight needed to leave the stream a little bit early tonight. He's been burning the candle at both ends, doing a lot of THL content stuff. Dog's keeping him awake late at night too, so he had to step out. So we won't get any final words from Lotus on the night, although I can pretty much say what he would have said. You know, get yourself on stream, Schoolstone. Make sure you reach out to those casters and ops if you want your match on stream. I think I've represented Lotus well enough. But before we do our final words for the rest of the crew, we do have not an RNG card of the week, although we could pretty much call what it would be. But let's get our clip of the week up on the screen here. It comes to you from Battlegrounds, and well, this was a little bit crazy. You'll see how this one turned around right at the very end of the game. Let's get it up here.
Steffi has 5 poisons with Divine Shield.
Yeah, but that
And
ghoul is gonna wreck
the
it.
ghoul just takes them all out. But
And here's the and then here's the shot.
yeah, this yeah, it's
These poisons are being
my
dealt with.
my thing is showing me
it's
that
not
it's
even
not
showing,
going to be
is
a
it?
lethal, but it's
Showing.
I
There's
don't
just no
know.
video
this
or
triggers
audio,
well.
but
It could be a lethal.
basically what's going on right
That's
now
it.
is
Wow. What?
Rice Bowl is actually going up against
3
Steffi right
gold
now. Rice Bowl did have the win here, but
Oh
might have
my
had to take a
gosh.
secondary strike. But actually getting to roll the death rattle off of the gas coiler got a triple. Oh, they hear audio?
Yeah,
I
they
can't
got the
hear
audio, but it never showed the visual. I don't know why.
Oh, I thought the visual was there.
Or
Yes, I
okay,
saw the
maybe
visual.
it's just delayed for me.
Weird. Anyway, yeah, I mean, you heard me casting over myself there then.
Nice. Yeah, just super ridiculous. We got it didn't work on my side, but as long as you guys saw it, that's what's important. Everything
Yeah,
was fine. Okay, thank you, Isocles.
perfect.
My bad, chat. You saw the visual and the audio and chord.
And crowned over himself, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
it was
absurd.
crazy. I think Rice Bowl had a decent shot there regardless, but getting a triple Goldrin out of a gas coiler to deal actually over one lethal to Steffi and to solidify that first place was hilarious. I mean, when I was sitting there seeing it, I just couldn't even put together. And Steffi, right as it happened, went into the chat and was just like, ouch, that was not
Yeah.
necessary.
Oh, it's so brutal. It's a brutal way to lose. So if we had an RNG card of the week this week, it would definitely be Gas Coiler. But we decided to kind of move on from that because there's less RNG in this meta, so we just be seeing the same offenders over and over. But there you have it. You know, a ridiculous finish, and that unfortunately is how Steffi ended her BG's season this time
Yeah.
around. But I'm sure she'll be back with a vengeance in the next season. With that, that will conclude our show for tonight. Thank you, everybody, for stopping by. And let's turn on over to Marty B for final words on the night. Go ahead, take it away.
Well, so Lotus had to leave, so I will cover the Schoolstone stuff for the most part.
I'm here.
Oh, hey,
Lotus.
he's back. Hey,
Lotus,
From the
welcome back,
grave.
Lotus.
Just
All right,
in
you get final
time.
words then. We'll come to you last, Lotus. So, Marty, you can do other final words that don't have to be Lotus's portion.
Yeah, so Lotus was actually kind enough to set up a wild match for us on Schoolstone this Saturday. We have a fun game to be casted at 1:30, but definitely tune in a little bit earlier because we have a preview, just a recap on where Wild is in the Conquest meta, how things are looking, how nerfs are affecting things, and what might change, and some hot takes. So it should be really fun. It's also a really high-profile matchup between and everyone's a winner player and their opponent. So definitely tune in on that, or tune into to that. Should be very exciting, lots of fun, and a lot of high profile stuff.
Nice. Awesome. Yeah, always good stuff coming up on the horizon. Thank you for bringing that up. Next, we've got Corridon. Thank you for joining us for the night. Hope you enjoyed yourself. Final words from you here for tonight.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me on. It was a blast. Final words, probably we got Battleground finals coming at you. So actually will be myself and Blue Sombrero on Friday as Blue is unable to cast on Sunday and was knocked out as well. So myself and Blue for the first time casting duo will be fun with Saku opping. And then Sunday, I believe Steffi with I don't know who, but 2 weeks of BG's finals coming up. It's a barn burner. There's pretty much a Cinderella story for each team involved. So keep your ear to the ground and listen out for that.
Nice. Oh, and Brushy Tuna coming in and stealing your thunder here with 5 gifted subs to the
Hey,
community.
Brushy.
That is fantastic. Brushy Tuna coming in, making his presence felt once again. Thank you very much for the gifted subs. We appreciate you, bud. And let's move on, last but not least, to Dr. Lotus Knight. Welcome back, buddy. Appreciate you joining us right at the very end, too. Floor is yours. Take it away for final words.
I just want to one more time thank Ron for organizing everything. He does so much work for the show. It is amazing. Um, we are actually mostly fine with matches this weekend. So if you would still like to play on stream, you can DM me, but we're mostly fine for Sunday.
Nice. Hey, I appreciate you throwing out the love. Much appreciated. And with that, that wraps up our show. Make sure you keep tuned to this channel for the upcoming week as we have all of those fantastic Hearthstone shows coming at you. We've got Tavern Talk on Wednesday. We have match shows starting Thursday, going into Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. We are back around with a new episode of Around the Saloon
Yes.
in this new every 2 weeks rotation. Where Corden, you won again, right? You're defending that crown. You just had a little
I
bit of a
am,
wait.
man. Yeah, I'm going for the Triple Crown. So hopefully I can impress Mako. And it's gonna be there's gonna be questions on nerfs and buffs when they get announced, I would assume. So yeah,
Yeah, really
I'm
well
really looking
timed
forward.
for
Yeah,
this one.
it's
Wouldn't
gonna
really
be a
had
great
much to
saloon.
talk about, and the Maniac Monday one that we swapped it out for. It just would have been like, what do you guys think these nerfs and buffs are going to be? So now you actually
Yeah.
get to talk about it, which is exciting. And then that brings you back around to Tuesday with Hearthcenter again, and we will see you next week to recap all of the action that was THL. Until then, thank you again, everybody, for stopping by. Hope you all have a great night. We will see you next time.